ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another preview and predictions video for our 2024 college football season. The team that we're going to be taking an in-depth look at today is our 2024 LSU Tigers football team. We're going to do a complete preview of the roster, seeing which pieces they lost from last season, but also which pieces they're bringing in, and also looking at the 2024 football schedule, seeing which games we think they're going to win, lose, and what we predict that final score to be. Go ahead, hit that like button, and subscribe. If you have any comments, drop them below, and I will make sure to respond. So our 2024 LSU Tigers. This offseason was a major offseason for them. They had a lot of changes going on. Obviously, last year they had the number one offense in all of college football. They averaged 47 points per game. They had a Heisman winner, Jayden Daniel. They have two wide receivers go first round. All that's gone. The offensive coordinator, Den Brock, he's off to Notre Dame. That's a massive loss. Jayden Daniels, first round pick, he's off to the NFL. Lost a lot of guys at the wide receiver position. Now, if you have a Heisman winner, that's a really big shoe to fill, because if you don't win the Heisman, technically you took a step back. Now, they're still going to have an extremely good offense. They have Nussmeier coming in at quarterback. He did fill in the bowl game. They're going to be able to sling it. Even though they lost a lot of top talent wide receivers, they have a lot of depth there, and they work the portal at the wide receiver position. So they'll still be able to throw the ball. But don't forget, Jayden Daniels ran for over 1,000 yards last season. He was the leading rusher on the team. So you also have to replace the rushing production. That's a massive loss. So there's going to be a lot of changes, but they should be able to do it. This is year 3 for Brian Kelly. A lot of pressure on him with the expanded college football. People want playoffs or bust right now for LSU. Too bad they didn't have a 12-team playoff last season when they had the number one offense and the Heisman winner. But nonetheless, they still have an opportunity this year. Vegas has them coming in at 9.5 wins. And that 9.5 wins, that in the SEC could potentially, possibly get you into a playoff position. We just don't know right now. Now, the running game has to step up. They have to find a running back number one, and their D-line has to get a lot better. Den Brock is gone. Joe Sloan takes over as the offense coordinator. But with Daniels gone, who's the leading rusher going to be? Is it going to be Jackson? Is it going to be Williams? Someone has to step up. The wide receiver should be able to replace the production of Neighbors. They are deep. They did work the portal there. The offensive line should be pretty decent this year. Matt House as the defensive coordinator. God-awful, pathetic defense last year. He has been fired. Thankfully, he's gone. Blake Baker's coming over from Missouri, and he was also previously the coordinator at Miami. So the defense should be a lot better, but it couldn't possibly get any worse from what they had last season. They still have Perkins Jr. They still have Penn on defense. So they have some foundational pieces there, but the whole unit has to get better to make up for the offense. Maybe not being number one, but maybe number 5 in the country. With them dropping a couple points there, the defense has to make up that difference. They should be better this season. If you go from number 90th to 60th, that's a good move in year number 1 for Baker. But let's take a look at this 2024 football schedule. So they get things started Sunday, September 1st, so the rare Sunday game in week 1 versus USC. This is a massive game, obviously, out-of-conference game, SEC versus Big Ten. And this is going to be an interesting game. You have the last 2 Heisman winners coming from these 2 teams, but they're both breaking in first-year starters at this point, with USC bringing in Miller Moss. They still have Branch at wide receiver, and you have Lincoln Riley. Whenever you have Lincoln Riley, you can always compete because there's always the potential to win a shootout, but with him also comes god-awful defenses. So they did fire their coordinator. Both teams are bringing in new defensive coordinators. Which defense is going to improve the most week 1 here? Both teams are kind of in similar positions. High-flying offenses, but defense that have questions coming off of last season. I'm going to go with LSU getting a win week 1 in a potential shootout, a 37-32 game. LSU starts out the year 1-0. Saturday, September 7th, First Nichols. This is obviously you just continuing to build on those building blocks that you set week 1. They're going to run through them. It's going to be high scoring. Let's say it's a 60-13 game. They're 2-0. Saturday, September 14th versus South Carolina. So now you're starting to get into SEC conference play. With South Carolina, obviously, Shane Beamer there. They lost a lot of pieces from last year's squad. Rattler's gone. he's kind of on the hot seat right now. This is maybe a 6-win team at most. LSU should be able to continue their hot streak. Defense should be getting better every single week. I have LSU winning this one 38-24. They're 3-0. They follow that up with another out-of-conference Big Ten game, Saturday, September 21st versus UCLA. They lost Chip Kelly. They lost all of their quarterbacks except for one. Pretty much the whole team's gone. A complete roster overhaul. They in no way have the talent to be able to compete. LSU should blow them out 44-21. They're 4-0. Saturday, September 28th versus South Alabama. This is obviously another cupcake game. They're going to blow through them. Let's say it's going to be a 55-18 game, and they're 5-0. Then you get your first real challenge of the season since USC. Saturday, October 12th versus Ole Miss. A lot of buildup for Ole Miss this offseason. Lane Kiffin, they did lose Quinton Junkins, but they have the number 1 transfer portal class coming in. They have Jackson Dart coming back. This team is loaded at every single position. Their defense should be a lot better. Very talented team, a potential playoff team. I have Ole Miss getting the win on the road in a close one, though. 30-28, Ole Miss wins. If they lose this game, I would not be surprised. But I have LSU losing their first game of the season. They're 5-1. This Saturday, October 9th at Arkansas. I have Brian Kelly rallying everyone together coming off of that loss, coming to Arkansas, getting revenge, fixing some things they had wrong, blowing them out 44-21. And they're, what's that going to be? It's going to be 6-1. Now, Saturday, October 26th at Texas A&M. College Station, always a hard place to play. They also have a whole new team. They still have Wegman at quarterback. They have Mike Elko as the head coach. But I think LSU is going to be able to beat them on the road. I have LSU getting the victory here. It's going to be 30-24 and LSU 7-1. Saturday, November 9th versus Alabama. This is obviously going to be a tough one. You have Kalen Deboer taking over for Nick Saban since he retired. You still have Milroe there at the quarterback position. You have a top 3 roster. Very talented team. The first couple of games, they might be a little wobbly, breaking in new schemes, but I think by this point of the season, Alabama's offense should be firing on all cylinders. This game has the potential to be a shootout, though, because LSU also, they have a top 5 roster, so they can compete with anybody on the field. But I have Alabama getting the win, but it's going to be a shootout. 34-30, LSU drops to 7-2. Then Saturday, November 16th, you have at Florida. Obviously, Gainesville is always a tough place to play in the swamp. Billy Napier, they have the hardest, most difficult schedule I've ever seen in my life. He might even be fired by this point of the season. We don't know. LSU should be able to go on the road and beat the Gators. I have them winning that one 40-24. And they're 8-2. Saturday, November 23rd versus Vanderbilt. This should be an easy win. They're going to blow them out. It's going to be a 45-17 game, and they're 9-2. Last game of the season, Saturday, November 30th versus Oklahoma. I'd say Oklahoma is almost in a very similar position as LSU. You have Brent Venables as the head coach. He's been revamping the defense. The defense has been getting better every single season that he's been there. But he's really been recruiting at an extremely high level, working the portal at a high level. But they did lose Dylan Gabriel to the transfer portal. He's now the quarterback at Oregon. But they have a 5-star ready to go that threw for 400 yards in the bowl game last season. So their offense should be able to pick up where it left off last season. But LSU's offense is also going to be firing on all cylinders the whole season. This game could go either way. I would not be surprised if Oklahoma won. I would not be surprised if LSU wins. But I'm going to go with, this is a tough one. I'm going to go with Oklahoma getting a win to cap the season. I think that they're the more experienced team as a whole, wide receiver, running back, and defensive-wise. And LSU, even though they have a experienced team in some ways, they have a lot of first-year starters coming in this season, and they're still setting that foundation after Daniels having left. So I have this one going 35-30, Oklahoma wins. LSU finishes the regular season 9-3. Strong season, though, so I am going with the under what Vegas picks, but still a really good year foundationally going forward for LSU. So that's my breakdown of our 2024 Tigers. If you have any comments or thoughts, drop them below, and I will respond. Thanks.